Hi ninjas and welcome back to my channel. Today we are making the classic pound cake. This is a cake that has been around for I don't even know how long, and traditionally it's basically supposed to have a pound of butter, a pound of sugar, a pound of eggs, pound of flour, mix that all together, boom, you got a cake. But as time passed, we started to realize if you vary the ratios a bit, it does change the texture. It makes it more dense, it makes it more crumbly, more tender, it makes it more yellow, it makes it less yellow, and everything keeps changing as you add and subtract the ratios. This is my recipe. I have been making this for I don't even know how long. I can make it in my sleep. That's how much I've made this recipe. And it's really versatile because you can make it in a loaf tin, you can do it in a round tin, you can do it in a square tin, you can make them as cupcakes. It really doesn't matter because it's a classic pound cake and it's really, really yummy. So let's get started. So we start off the recipe by getting our dry ingredients together. Ideally, you would need cake flour to make this. Now, if you don't have cake flour, you could use all-purpose flour, but this is a good trick and substitute for you to make cake flour at home. You need all-purpose flour and corn flour, which you're gonna sieve together, and that acts as your cake flour. What the corn flour or cornstarch does is, it helps reduce the gluten formation because there is no gluten in it. So it makes sure the cake stays tender, moist, and has a very light crumb once it's baked. We are going to be adding baking powder, baking soda, and if you are using unsalted butter, you can add a pinch of salt in here as well. I'll be using salted butter, so I've left that out. So I'm going to sieve this together, and then I'm going to get started with my wet ingredients after. I'm going to get started on with the butter. Okay then. Granulated sugar. I'm going to be using an electric beater. If you don't have one, you could use a whisk, but you're going to need to really whisk it up. So you can see that the color has gotten paler, it's much more lighter and it's creamier. It's not going to be smooth, but that's fine. We're now going to go in with the eggs. Egg number 2, eggy number 3. We go with the vanilla now. Yep. So once all your eggs have been added, this is the consistency you're looking for, because now we're going to start by adding our flour and the milk. I'm going to add my dry ingredients in 3 parts. I'm going to alternate between the dry mixture and my milk. So I'm going to add 1 part and then 1 part and then 2 part and then 2 part, and then you get it. Okay, let's go. We go with part 2. This is part 2 milk. And the last part of the flour with the remaining of the milk. Whee! Before I mix in the last part of the flour, I want to just scrape down my bowl to ensure that everything from the side is also combined. So now that my batter is ready to go, I'm going to start prepping my tin. My oven is preheated at 180 degrees Celsius. I've got a 9x5 approximately loaf tin. You can use an 8x4 loaf tin, you can use a 9-inch round tin, an 8-inch round tin. All the details for this is mentioned in my blog, so make sure to have a read of that. And the cooking times as well will vary depending on the size of your tin. So I'm going to start by lining it with a little bit of baking spray. If you don't have baking spray, you could just use oil and just brush it around, or a little butter and brush that around as well. I'm just ensuring I'm coating the edges really well because I don't want the cake to stick at any point once it's baked. So you can see that it's really well coated right now. And I just want to add a piece of baking paper at the bottom. So this is going to help me lift the cake up once it's baked and it comes out of the tin beautifully. I don't have to worry about turning it over and in case it falls out. So this really helps that. And because you've done the spray, it sticks right to the bottom and fits really snug, just like this. So now I'm just going to pour my batter into the tin. So So traditional pound cakes have this beautiful little crack on the top, and for me, when I look for a classic pound cake, that's what I look for. It just draws to me. So there's a cheat way to achieve this. Many recipes and this cake will bake with a beautiful crack on top. But if it doesn't, because let's say your oven is so, and maybe you didn't beat the cake enough, there is a trick to achieve that little crack down the center. It's room temperature butter. So basically I've just got plain room temperature butter, which is, you can see it's like super soft and squishy in a little piping bag. You could do this in a Ziploc bag as well. And all I'm gonna do is down the center, I'm just gonna pipe a line like so. It doesn't have to be fancy. Oopsie. And what this will do is when it bakes, it'll create a partition which will allow it to have that beautiful crack in the center once it comes out of the oven. Okay, so I need to put this into the oven now for around about 50 to 55 minutes until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye. So the cake is out of the oven. It's been cooling for at least an hour and I'm gonna take it out. I just ran a knife through the sides and it should come out pretty easily if you've lined it well. And I'm gonna just take out the bottom. Whoopsie. I'm gonna get rid of that. So you know your cake is done when you've literally poked it into the center and it comes out absolutely clean. Then you know you're sorted. Now, the quintessential crack on the top that you get in a pound cake. I mean, for me, a pound cake has to have the center crack. If it doesn't have it, I feel like that just sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. It has to have this look because that's an actual pound cake. So I'm gonna slice into it and you can kind of see what it looks like. It smells so good. Okay. It smells so good. I like smelling my cakes or like all my food before I eat it. Okay, let's plate this up. I'm gonna just like break a piece, but I want you to see how tender it is. Like, it's got such a lovely fluffy crumb and the color on the outside, and it smells so good, you guys. Like, this is like the cake you'll have at tea time, you know, and you'll just be relaxing, have a cup of tea or a coffee. I mean, I'll be honest and tell you, this is a pound cake, okay? It's not dry, it's not craggly, it's not depressing, it's bright, it's yellow, it's beautiful, it's soft, it's fluffy, and it's like, it just melts away, you know? This is a vanilla cake, so using good vanilla really pays off, but if you didn't want to use vanilla, you could use a bit of almond extract as well. Don't go with any other spices or anything else because it's a classic pound cake, you know? And you want to keep it simple, but it's so good.